Good day to everyone. And we are happy to report to you on the Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development and share with you some of the key discussions that are taking place at this forum, which is currently happening. Before I get started, I would also want to talk about the context that we are living in. And this context of the world is rapidly changing. The world is not the same anymore. There are dramatic events that are taking place that we haven't seen for a century. So, just to give you a glimpse of how the world is actually changing, on the economic front, we see trade happening. Trade is always good for people and for countries, but the way trades are taking place at this point in time is where like high tariffs are being levied upon countries, especially in the global south, and this is impacting the world's economy and the people in the global south. The other aspect that we also need to look at is artificial intelligence. And the impact of artificial intelligence is also changing the world like never before. One aspect is the ethical use of this artificial intelligence, but also there are impacts in terms of extraction of rare earth minerals, which actually are required for making these chips and technology gadgets required for AI. And then we have wars and conflicts on a rise, be it the Ukraine war, it is ongoing, the chaos around Greenland, active conflicts in the Asia Pacific region, EU-US relationships. And then all these are focusing then on countries putting their resources on security and their internal domestic trade. And then especially this is impacting the donor countries to, put out the aid. And as a result of which countries are in cracks in the global south where the ODA is not being fulfilled. In addition to this, we also have the UNAT reforms taking place, and then much of the discussions are still under the wraps. But again, how will multilateralism pan out in the future is again a big question. What we have all benefited is multilateralism was a connect between the countries, and we now have to see how this UNAT reforms is going to, have an impact on the world. So in the midst of all these contextual dramatic events, the follow-up and review of the Asia Pacific Forum. This is basically the follow-up and review to the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development at the regional level, which is called the APFSD, which takes place annually and ahead of the high-level political forum sometime in July in New York. And this year, it is ongoing at this point in time from the 24th to the 27th of February. And what happens each year is there are certain goals that will be reviewed, the Sustainable Development Goals. And this year, the review of SDG 6 on water and sanitation, SDG 7 on clean energy, SDG 9 on industry, innovation, infrastructure, SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities, and SDG 17 on partnerships. So these are the 5 goals which are being reviewed, along with a thematic overview of transformation, innovation, equitability, and cooperation. So I will just present to you some slides that focus on what is exactly happening also in regards to these goals. So from the reports that have been published by UNSCAP, we see that the environmental dimensions, so all the environment-related goals are actually negatively impacting not only the environment, but also the all other SDGs, whether it is the SDG on poverty, or whether it is the SDG on trade. So, so these are all being impacted, which actually says that we have to actually put environmental sustainability at the center of our work. And the other aspect that is also coming out from all these reports is that the goal 5 on gender equality and goal 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions, there is a lot of data scarcity on this. And these goals are basically the goals which actually tell us about marginalization and how we are addressing issues of marginalization and leaving no one behind. And an overview in this region is also pointing out to the fact that all goals under review, as I have just said previously, SDG 6, 7, 9, 11, and 17, but across all from the 1 to 17 goals, they are all off track in the region. Just coming to SDG 6 on water and sanitation, there is a need to accelerate progress on all the targets in this goal, whether it is access to safe drinking water, water quality, sanitation and hygiene, water use efficiency. What we also see is access to water and sanitation is a key enabler. And it is an enabler to realizing SDG 11, which is on sustainable cities and communities, but also SDG 9, which is on infrastructure, because we know we need water for everything. And that's the reason why the goal on water has to be realized. So then it has an impact on people, but also on the infrastructure and industry aspects. So basically, we are off track and we need to accelerate progress on SDG 6. Coming to SDG 7, and this is on clean energy, and progress on this is also needs to be accelerated. Some of the highlights in regards to this goal are that the progress on the share of renewable energy is on a reversal, with the region significantly reliant on fossil fuels. So we are continuing to rely on fossil fuels, and then a lot of work needs to be done around renewable energy. Gender inequalities in energy access, for example, lack of safe cooking oil options, are putting women and girls at risks of illnesses due to indoor house pollution. SDG 7 targets and indicators, they are inherently gender blind, because when you talk about energy infrastructure, the aspect of human dimensions do not really come in. And when then human dimensions don't come in, women and girls just miss out. So overall, we do see that SDG 7 is gender blind, resulting in poor gender responsive energy access policies, regulations, and programs. Coming to SDG 9, which is on industry, innovation, and infrastructure, we see that, again, here it is off track and accelerated progress is required to achieve this goal in the region. What is also important is the access to finance for SME, small and medium enterprises. This should be critical. And this is, again, off track. What is also important to note is that the progress on ICT and internet access, although we say that internet access has improved and ICT has improved, but when you look at the rural-urban divide, when you look at access of internet for vulnerable and marginalized groups, that is still an issue that needs to be addressed. So on this goal, it is urgent to assess the extractive and environmental impacts of digital technologies, infrastructure, and industry, because this again is very important, because when we are talking about environmental sustainability, the extraction of natural resources for technology is rampant, and this needs to be assessed in terms of environmental impact assessment. Then again, coming to SDG 11, which is on sustainable cities and communities, we know that the Asia-Pacific region actually hosts 54% of the world's urban population. And the world is rapidly urbanizing. So we are experiencing rapid urbanization. And again, this goal is off track and calls for urgent actions. When you also look at disaster risk management, given that the frequency of disasters in this region is very high, But at the same time, the disaster risk management policies and resilience to disasters, this trend is actually seeing a reversal with increasing number of people in the region affected by disasters. We constantly see in our news how, like, floods and typhoons are so normal and in so frequent that we do not have strategies that will enable us to look at to overcome these disaster in a more positive way. Safe and inclusive cities for women and girls, young people, and persons with disabilities. This is again a very far-fetched dream. Safety is a issue, and also accessibility for persons with disability in cities to public goods and public resources and public facilities is an issue. Coming to SDG 17, again, this is off track, and progress needs to be accelerated. But here, what we also need to look at is many of our countries in this region are facing debt. Distress is like rampant, and that is actually, putting our governments to take out resources from the social sector and put into debt servicing. So debt sustainability is on a reversal. Disaster risk management policies and resilience to disasters is also on a reversal. And we are lacking a fair multilateral trading system, which is inclusive of exports of developing countries, and duty-free market access to least developed countries is also not up to the mark, which basically leaves us, without a fair trade and lack of economic and economic opportunities for the people in the global south. So what is the way forward? The theme of this year's Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development is transformative, equitable, innovative, and coordinated actions. And this is the theme. And this is quite an apt theme because what we really require is transformation. In terms of transformation, we all have to ensure that environmental sustainability is put at the core of transformation, sustainable development. And why are we saying environment? Because if we tackle environment, the social and the economic sectors and the goals and the targets around that will be achieved. So we need to put environmental sustainability at the core. And transformation also calls for systemic and structural shifts. For example, we have to shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy. And that should be the target of our governments in the region. Although, there are many nuances to this, but overall, the world has to shift to renewable energy. Implementing sustainable urban planning is also important because the world is rapidly urbanizing, and we have to improve the health, mobility, and quality of life of the people. We should all leverage technology and scale up inclusive and open digital ecosystems, and that will enhance education, that will enhance finance and governance as well. Strengthening social protection systems is very important. Universal basic income is something that needs to be put in place for security of individuals, and we need to unlock the power of data and use data ethically, and also ensure that data is available for us to make decisions around sustainable development. We need to scale up investments in SDGs globally, because unless we invest in the sustainable development, we are not going to realize social, economic, and environmental development of our people. And that's the reason why it is called the Sustainable Development Agenda for the people. So all governments have to start investing in the SDG agenda. So those are some of the transformative ways in which we can improve attaining the SDGs. And the other aspects is in terms of ensuring equity. Now, we all know that all our people, women, girls, young people, persons with disabilities, we as human beings, we are not homogeneous. We are all heterogeneous, coming from various backgrounds, whether it is rural-urban divide, whether it is wealth divide, whether it is education divide, whether it is division on the basis of our ethnicity, our race, our caste, etc. And this actually put marginalized people in the bottom rung. So we need to have equitable development. And equitable development only happens when human rights, equality, and justice, including reproductive justice, are core to sustainable development. We also need to look at redistributive, economic, gender, ecological accountability and prioritize marginalized people and environmental sustainability over profit. One of the other aspects is data needs to be produced. Data needs to be produced, especially for SDG 5 and SDG 16, so that we know where are the gaps, and then we make targeted interventions. Our national statistical systems also have to improve to develop data disaggregation. At this point, the reports actually tell us that disaggregation in terms of persons with disability, this data is hardly available. Then coming to, innovation, we need to, the world is changing. We cannot go with the same ways of working, and we need to look at innovative ways of working. I'm actually sharing here the APFSD Youth Forum that was held from the 18th to 20th of February this year, where at least 700 young people, both in person and online, actually came up with an agenda that is very affirming, and it actually provides solutions in terms of how to attain the SDGs in a more inclusive manner. And these are some of the forums that, where investments have to be made. Young people need to be in the forefront, women need to be in the forefront, and we need to listen to people in order to come up with innovative solutions, because they are in the crux of issues, they are in the problem scenario, and they will be the best people to come up with innovative solutions. So this is just a picture of the APFSD Youth Forum conclusion, where young people are showing the call to action, which you can access from Shobhaji. Again, we need to resource young people, women, and also ensure their meaningful engagement at local, national, regional, global levels. And young people and women should be in the center of decision making. It needs to be meaningful, just not a tokenistic representation, but we need to keep listening to the people on the ground to come up with, a workable, sustainable development agenda. So these are some of the way forwards. And at the same time, the APRSIM, which is the Asia Pacific Regional CSO Engagement Mechanism, we have organized the People's Forum. So we had the Youth Forum first, and then we had the People's Forum. And this was held from the 22nd to the 23rd of February. And the People's Forum actually come up with a framework, which is called the Development Justice Framework, which focuses on redistribution, it focuses on environmental justice, it focuses on gender and social justice. And these are the frameworks that we need to start using as the alternative frameworks, and these alternative frameworks have to be mainstreamed for us to attain the Sustainable Development Agenda. So these are some of my thoughts coming from APFSD and reporting live to all of you. Thank you.